Yeah. Nothing like him. Yeah, he's great. So y'all, thanks so much for coming today. We have an interview today with a best-selling author. Rather than me talking about her, Patrice is her name, Patrice Karst. Her name is Patrice Karst, and she is a best-selling author. She's going to come up and tell her own story while I ask questions. So let's give some Ventura love to Patrice as she comes forward. Hi.
It's so good to see you.
Thanks. Thank you.
Hi, everyone.
So let me start by asking a question to all of you. How many of you watch the show on HBO called The Pit? It's great. It's a great show, by the way. It's really good. But I was watching it just the other day, and they mentioned one of Patrice's books on it. An Invisible String, right? This woman was dying. She was making her transition, and she was saying goodbye to her little son. I may start crying. It was very sad, but she talked about The Invisible String, which is the title of one of Patrice's books. So, Patrice, why don't you tell us a little bit about that book? You've sold 2.5 million copies of it. And how did the book come about?
So, how the book came about is when my son was 4 or 5 years old. I was a single working mom, and I used to drop him off at school every morning, and he had horrible separation anxiety, horrible. He cried, I cried, we were both a hot mess. And no matter what I told him, nothing was solving this problem. And so one day, I just told him what was so obvious to me, which is that we were connected by an invisible string all day long, and if he missed me, all he had to do was tug on it, and I would tug it back, and we'd be together all day till I picked him up. And I'm telling you, his separation anxiety that day disappeared. And by the time I picked him up, all his friends were like, Miss Karst, is there really an invisible string? And I was like, yes, there is.
Okay.
And does it go to my uncle who's in Mexico? Does it go to my hamster that died? Does it go to my brother who went to college? And the answer was yes, and even there, yes, and even there. So I knew I had something really special, that kids could get this sort of tangible explanation for the very abstract concept of love and connection.
Nice.
And so I wrote it as a children's book, and I went to a small publisher I knew, and he loved it, and the book came out in 2000. So it's been out 26 years, and the TV show, for example, it's mentioned a lot in different, it's become sort of part of the collective. People are doing this thing now because generations that read the book as children now have children of their own. Right. So, my text was blowing up. People were saying, yeah, they're talking about The Invisible String on this show. And I was like, what show? I don't even know this show. So anyway, The Invisible String has come a long way, and love is alive and well on the planet despite appearances at times.
Right.
And the book is in 21 different languages now, and it became like the #1 book for children dealing with not just separation anxiety, but death and loss and grief, because of one page.
One page
in the book.
Yeah.
One word. The kids are asking Mom, can my string reach to me if I was an astronaut out in space? And of course, Mom's answer is, even there. And could my string reach me if I was a submarine captain deep in the ocean? Even there. And then the kids say, does my string reach to Uncle Brian in heaven? And of course, the answer is yes, even there. And interestingly, the publisher did not want death to be mentioned in a kid's book. And I was like, oh no, we have to. I'm showing that love transcends time and space, and it can go anywhere. So thank God I fought him, and I won.
You won.
And the word stayed, and it is the #1 book for loss, but it's also the #1 book for Valentine's Day. And it's love. It's just love, and love made simple.
Awesome.
Right.
I got to tell you, though, you had me at hamster.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah, because you also wrote a book called The Invisible Leash.
Yes.
Right?
Yes,
and there are many, many animal lovers here, and many of us.
Well, I had a lot of my readers, a lot of my people would write to me and say, we love The Invisible String and we use it, whenever an animal dies, but could you write one just for animals? And so I did, and The Invisible Leash is one of the big pet loss grief books, which I guess death is my jam. I don't know.
Good for you.
I'm in the grief world, but The Invisible Leash. And so the kind of letters I get, you can imagine.
I was going to ask you. Yeah, you've got beautiful letters on your website. Can you say some more about that?
Well, so I have the kids' letters. You know, the kids are so, yeah, I mean, when I was watching your youth director, and I was like, oh, this is it, right?
Yeah.
That's the whole message, right? And then when he mentioned the invisible string, I was like, well, duh, yeah, that is the
Yeah,
message. But kids are so pure, right? They're just so untainted by the madness of the world. And when you give them a concept and let them run with it, it's amazing. So, you know, what you're talking about was I had some children's letters printed on my website from different school events I've gone to, because one of the things I do very interactive with the kids. I don't have like a big dog and pony show. I don't have a PowerPoint and puppets and, you know, all kinds of stuff. I just read my story and talk to the kids and ask them questions, and they ask me questions. And they're just so, oh my God, they're so amazing. And they just get this concept so easily that, of course, we're all connected and no one's ever alone. Because if my string is connected to you, and the string, by the way, is the string of love that connects us. That's it. It's just made of love, and it travels everywhere, and it doesn't break. It might get frazzled sometimes, but it's powerful. You know, the string is powerful. Love is the superpower of the planet. And after I do a talk, they always want to run up and give me hugs and tell me, I have a string to my, and my string goes here and my string goes there. And I ask them, and I ask my adult audiences the same thing. I say, you know, will you please help me spread the word?
Yeah.
And when you see someone that's feeling kind of sad or scared or lonely, will you remind them about their invisible strings to everyone that they love? And kids are the best ambassadors ever.
Yeah.
You give them their little orders, and they'll go out and they'll do it, and they spread the love. So yeah,
That's beautiful.
I'm lucky.
Yeah, you are so lucky.
I'm so lucky. When you're singing that song, I am so blessed. I was like, I get to be at this beautiful church that I used to come to, because I used to live in Ventura. I'm in Santa Barbara now. And yeah, it's really a pleasure. Thank you for having me, Bonnie.
It's great to have you here. We may get back to the invisible string, but I want to hear more about God Made Easy, which is your most recent release. And I believe you said that there was sort of an unusual path to creating that book. And can you share that with us?
Yes, I will. So
Okay.
on November 11th of 1995, and a little tiny backstory is that I had been and have been a spiritual seeker all of my life. Even when I was a teenager, a young teenager. I mean, I started going to Paramahansa Yogananda's, Sunday school lessons on the houseboat in, Pacific Palisades. And I've just been on this journey all my life. And I always felt that there was something God wanted me to do, but I couldn't remember what it was. But it was something. It was very important, and it was very specific, but I had amnesia, and I couldn't remember what it was. And so November 11th, 1995, it was a Saturday morning. I was, my son was, young. I was tired. I was a single mom working, full time, and I woke up out of a dream. It was about 6 o'clock in the morning, and I saw these words hovering in the air, just big, bold letters, God Made Easy. And I was just thinking, what? How would anyone do that? Like, how would you do that? Even if you wanted to do it, how could you make God easy? And then I laid down to go back to sleep. And then all I can tell you, I don't want to get, well, I guess you can get woo-woo here, because, we like woo-woo here, right?
We like woo.
The best way I could describe it is that I was not allowed to go back to sleep. Excuse me, get choked up. There was like this energetic push, and this voice, not an alien being, but this voice, I don't know how else to say it. It was this inner voice said, go get a notebook and start writing. And what happened next, I can only call it dictation. It was like I was the scribe, and I was being used to write this body of work. Long story short, because this is a wild story, but when it was done, I had 20 pages in a spiral notebook. And I had no idea what it was. Was this just a teaching for me? Was it to share? What was I supposed to do with it? And the voice said, this will be a book, and it will go all over the world, and it will reintroduce the wonder of God to people of all faiths or people that have no faith at all. And your job is to get it published. Just that, just that.
Piece of cake.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
So I didn't know how, you get a book published. This was my very first book, by the way. I'd always loved to write, but I didn't know how you get a book published. But I ended up going to Barnes & Noble and looking for small spiritual books and wrote down the name of the publishers, got this 20 pages in a notebook printed up at Kinko's. I paid them to read my scribble and type it up, and I called publishers Monday morning, just with sheer audacity I did, and I called them up and I said, my name is Patrice Karst, and I'd like to give you the first opportunity to read the manuscript that I wrote. It's a mass market book about God for the whole planet, and I'd like to give you the first opportunity to look at it. And somehow that morning I got through to pass the gatekeepers, the receptionists, the assistants, the people, and I got through to the acquiring editors, and they said, what's the name of your book? I said, God Made Easy. They said, send it, and 3 weeks later, I was signing a publishing deal.
Yay. Yay.
And then it got even through another whole set of miracles, which I actually put it, I write the story in the book. A huge agent from New York City had found my manuscript at Marianne Williamson's apartment, because I had sent it out to different famous New Age authors.
That's so funny.
To get blurbs, because
Yeah.
I heard, because now you got to understand, now that thing that I had always thought I was supposed to do, finally I've been told, and I had gotten my assignment.
Yeah.
And I will give myself credit, not for the writing of it, but I'll give myself credit for understanding the assignment and following through. So this huge agent found the book, and what ended up happening was he sold it to Time Warner Books. So in 1997, the first version of God Made Easy came out, and it was this. And it was amazing. I got letters from, it was published in Dutch, French, Spanish, and Ellen Burstyn, the actress, did the audio version of it, and it was amazing. And I got amazing, incredible letters from all over the world of people that loved this tiny little book. And people used to say, it's so small when I do speaking engagements. I go, well, yeah, it's because it's God Made Easy. I could have made it a big book, but that would be God Made Hard, and this is easy.
Yeah.
So it's been, but a few years later, that division of that big publishing company dissolved. I lost my editor, the whole thing, the book was still out there. Amazon really wasn't a thing yet. I mean, a little bit. It was just kind of starting.
Yeah.
It was 1997 is when the book came out. I decided, I got the bright idea, I'm going to get the rights back. Because I'll get the rights back, and then I'll get a new book deal, and I'll have an even bigger splash for God Made Easy. And it didn't happen. I went through, without, I know you've heard my talks before, so you know some of my long, because I get going on my stories.
Yeah.
Long-winded girl I am.
You write short books, though.
I write short. You know why? Because God knows my attention span is like that. Like He couldn't have given me the Course in Miracles. That could have never happened. I would have never. But He gave me God Made Easy. And I was thinking that actually the audacity to even, I could have never, in my wildest dreams, if I had sat down to try to write a book called God Made Easy, first of all, who are you to do that, right? Although I want to say something, I just remembered something.
Yeah.
Reverend Michael Beckwith, right, at Agape Church, after I'd written the book, and now I was getting asked to come and speak, because when you're an author, you get asked to come and speak about your subject matter. And so now I'm being asked to go talk about God. And I'm like, I don't have a doctor of divinity or theology. I've been a spiritual student all my life, but this book happened. And I remember saying to Reverend Michael at the end of a service, I said, I don't know what to do. I wrote this book about God, and now I'm getting asked to speak about God. And who am I to speak about God? And I'll never forget, he said, who are you not to speak about God?
Yeah.
You get out there and speak about God.
Yeah.
So anyway, the book went out of print for 20, in the meantime, which we'll talk more about Invisible String, but I had written The Invisible String. It had started doing really well. I became known in the children's book world now, and I wrote a lot of other kids' books. But the voice was not done with me yet, because every couple of years, you've got to get that book back out there. Why did you take it out of print? The world needs the book more than ever. You've got to get it out there. So every couple of years, I would go through now I knew how you get a book published. You don't just call them up. You have to get an agent, and you write query letters, and it's a whole shebang that you have to do. But nobody wanted to publish it. And publishers, in general, don't like to publish books that have already been out. For them, it's like old news. They want new. So I felt so sad because I knew the world needed it, and then it happened. I found an agent who fell in love with the book. She found a publisher who fell in love with the book, and the new version of God Made Easy just came out. Yeah. So you guys are my witness. Like, I don't, if he, she, it, they, by the way, because God is definitely not in the book, is like non-gender. It's the big God, the one you were talking about, many different names, every different name. But I did it, so now I can like exhale, like, okay, got the book back in print to a whole new audience, and I'm thrilled. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. That's lovely. You mentioned that you were, at one time you thought you were not qualified to speak about God. Right? And I appreciate you saying...
Well, I just thought it was like presumptuous.
I feel you.
Like,
no, I feel you.
Go, I'm going to tell you about God. Like,
I've been doing this a long time, and I still feel like, who am I or who am I not? I don't know. Anyway. That's sweet of you to mention that God doesn't have pronouns. God's just a whatever, energy, I would say, energy. But when you speak about God in your book, or when you speak about God with others, what actually does God mean to you? Are you in a place to share that with us now?
God is everything to me. At times, God is a parental figure, a loving father, a divine mother, a best friend. Sometimes God is universal consciousness. It's the hugeness, the magnificence of creation in all its forms. Sometimes it's a still small little whisper inside my consciousness, my conscience. Don't do that. That person looks like they could use some love. That. It's when I hear great music or read or love. It's to me. How could you put God in any one little box? I mean, God is boxless.
Yeah,
God is everything.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I didn't have some kind of relationship with God, which is not to say that I'm always tuned in, because I'm absolutely not. And I have lots of times of not having faith. Ultimately, I know God exists even when I'm in pain and things aren't going my way, but I'm not always in deep, profound connection. But I'm also never not in some kind of connection. Right. I know that God is my next breath, and that I wouldn't even be given my next breath if it were not for some kind of grace that decides to keep breathing me. So
beautiful. And I'm glad you brought that up about not always being connected. To others here do sometimes believe in God, but not necessarily feel so connected. I know I do sometimes. But I was going to ask you, in your publishing story, you had this great vision, this thing that felt like it was ordained, it was instructed by some divine energy, and yet you had a lot of setbacks in the second portion of your story.
I wrote God Made Easy, but God didn't make it easy for me. Just saying.
So my question for you is, what kept you going? Like, I think a lot of people would have given up and said it's impossible. What kept you tuned into the possibility?
Because the voice was unrelenting. I don't know if you all have ever had, there's something that you cannot shut it up. It's like on your shoulder, it wouldn't let up. So I knew that I had to try. Like I said in one of my talks recently, like I could go now. I could go back home now. Like I'm complete, which is not to say that I want to go back home today. I'll give it a little more time here on planet Earth. Some more things to see and do. But I do feel like it was a mission. Sometimes we have things that are, they are so powerful inside of us that we have to follow through. And I don't know what I would have done. Would I still, 20 years from now, would I still be, hey, I've got a book I'd like to show you, I don't know. But thank goodness, it happened. But God isn't, God is easy, but it isn't easy always. But God is,
Was there did you see any higher purpose in the obstacles? Because I know a lot of people, myself and a lot of us, are facing obstacles all the time. And one of the things, I'll just give away my answer first, but we often teach that there is sweetness in adversity, that there's some growth to happen, some lesson to happen through the adversity itself. And I wondered if that was your experience.
Oh, hell yeah.
Okay, hell yeah.
I've had a
Okay.
lot,
Yeah.
Like I wrote a memoir, which is not published yet because I'm still working on it, but it's called Agony and Grace. Because that's what it's been. It's been like this,
So we've got
like a lot of grace and then a lot of agony.
Yeah, we've got will and grace, but yours is agony and grace.
grace.
Okay, good.
I don't think anyone comes to want to know God because things are going great. I don't think people are like, life is so good, I feel so full, I'd like to get to know God now.
Yeah.
People come to God, or any depth of character, really, or spiritual awakening, because of adversity, because of suffering, because of that. Like I know for me as a small child, I started my spiritual journey so young because I came from abuse. I didn't have, for most children, and how it should be is that you have a loving parental, either a mother and father or parental figures to love you up and help you feel safe on this journey of life. And I did not have that. I came from very severe abuse. I'm mentally ill. Parents, God bless them, may they rest in peace. They were doing the best they could. They had a lot of trauma in their lives. We were all from England, and they war and, a lot of things. So I think I went to God as a child because there was no one else to go to. So I knew there was something so incredible that had created the beauty I saw on the planet. Such, peacock feathers and stars at night and fluffy clouds. But then I began to realize, as a small kid, that there's like babies that die in fiery car accidents, and there's things on the news that defy belief. And I was like, how could this same God that makes such beauty be so mean and allow such suffering? And that really was the impetus for my spiritual journey. I needed to understand. I knew that he must have really good reasons for the things that happen here. And so I went in search of that. So the short answer to a very big question is, does adversity, is there a higher purpose? Without a doubt. No one on this earthly plane, in this very intense 3D reality where we have these bodies, which sometimes are fantastic, but sometimes not.
Yeah.
And you have to get in metal to drive or fly or train it from here to there. You can't just beam yourself there. And I remembered that other reality. I mean, I really did. People think I'm just making it up, but I knew. I used to look up at those stars and I'd be like, oh my God, I'm back here again, Like, oh God, no. I really did.
Yeah.
I really, really did. And it was bittersweet because on one hand, it was a blessing, and it is a blessing to know where you come from, which is a realm that defies description. Like there is no, like I tell people when they're like, oh my God, it's going to be the best day of your life is the day you go. Like you're going to be like, whoa, But it's hard down here.
Yeah.
And we all suffer in different ways. And I do think if you allow it to, it will bring you much closer to the divine.
Yeah.
Because the divine is just waiting there to love you up with open arms,
And what does allowing it to bring you to the divine look like?
For me, it's keeping it real, Like when people, I know that in the New Thought world, in Unity Center for Spiritual Livings, we believe in, or the belief is that we want to keep things on a positive level. You want to speak out that which you wish and this and that. I was never good at that.
Yeah,
I was the one.
I don't think this church is quite like that, by the way.
I was the one. When people say, how are you? I was like,
Yeah.
It's really hard,
Yeah.
So it wasn't like, I would meet people and when they'd say, I'm good, never better.
Yeah.
And those people, I could never relate to the never better people.
Yeah.
Who are they? Like, never better? Who are you kidding?
Yeah.
Poser.
Liar, right? Liar.
Like, oh, never better.
Yeah.
So for me, it was always keeping it real, allow those tears, allow that sobbing, allow yourself to get mad at God. God is not some pious, righteous, ego-driven being that you have to. God is like, give it all to me. Tell me when you're mad at me. He can handle it. So I did a lot, and I still do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like lately, I don't remember, something happened. I was like, I wrote a book about you. You couldn't help me, You know what I've done for you, God?
Wait, does that work? Because I wrote a book too, so I really want to, if that works, I want in on that.
It's like, snap out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. That's a tough one. There's a big shift happening in New Thought right now. And I feel like I've always been on the fringe of New Thought, and here we've always sort of been, we bless adversity. We just acknowledge it as part of the human condition, and it just is. And even that little tiny knowledge of immediately, I'm going to use the word forgiveness, but it's even something deeper than that. Just recognizing that the darkness is part of the light and the light is part of the darkness, and they're all intertwined. Even that brings us a little closer, opens the heart a little bit more to a greater experience, that which encompasses all of it.
Yep.
So it's a beautiful thing. Now I have a really fun question that you wrote, so I'm going to ask you anyway. Is because I love this kind of.
Oh God, I'm worried now. You're getting a little too giddy.
Yeah, I know.
Worried about this.
Well, because when you're in the public a lot, you often get some negative feedback. So, have people expressed negative feedback or criticism to you about your book? Tell us about that,
About
please.
God Made Easy?
Yes, about any. Well, let's go with God Made
Well,
Easy.
it's actually the same. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
With the invisible string, the only people that I've come across that didn't love the invisible string were atheists, because I mentioned the word heaven.
Oh.
So they would write to me, or they would put reviews on Amazon like, "This book's religious. Don't give it to your kids if you're not religious." And I was like, heaven is such a universally accepted word to describe physical departure from this planet and the beyond. So, I was like, what would you rather have me call it? The great abyss of nothingness? Like, what, don't you want your children to be comforted? Because children find out about death, whether they see a dead bird on the ground, or they hear something on the news, or a grandparent passes. Kids, even at a very young age, will hear about death, and the conversation should start early about death.
Yeah.
It really should. Yeah. So yes, the atheists did not love, and I tried to say, just get a Sharpie and cross out heaven and put whatever word or works for your family to describe the beyond.
Yeah.
So, and then with God Made Easy, the only people, at the time, so 1997, the book came out, the publisher wouldn't let authors put their email addresses on books. Email was just kind of becoming a thing too. But they let us put our snail mail address on the book. So I started to get all these mailed in letters. And listen, I'm not saying I'm psychic or anything, but I could hold the letters, because 98% of them were, I love this little book. It came into my life at the perfect time. I bought all these copies, whatever. Like, you've helped me realize. And the atheists love God Made Easy. The atheists actually were like, you made me realize that God, you don't have to go to church to find God. This isn't religious. And I was like, exactly. People, when God Made Easy first came out, they said, oh, religion. And I was like, no, it's the antithesis of religion. It's God, the big God, God. So, the atheists loved God Made Easy. Who didn't love God Made Easy, and I could feel the envelope. I am not kidding you. I could feel when it was one of the hate envelopes. Someone had written me. I could feel the energy. Very evangelical, born again, very fundamental, because there's all kinds of Christians in the world, right?
Of course, yeah.
Most Christians loved God Made Easy, but the very, very, very fundamental evangelicals said, how dare you? How dare you say that there's other holy books besides the Bible? Because I do mention that there's other holy books besides, there is the Upanishads and the Bhagavad Gita and the Quran and the Torah and, there are other holy books. And how dare you say that you could call God the man upstairs if you want, it's Jesus. So, yes, they don't love my book.
Yeah.
And I remember I was doing book signings and things, and they would sometimes come out and protest, which was actually great for publicity, because it's like, I'd have the I don't know what to call them, the good God people. I don't say good and bad, but you know what I mean, like the people that got it, like, this is beautiful, it's spiritual, it's God, and then there'd be like the Jesus is the way, I love them all, and
Yeah.
but no, they don't like what I've said because I really have said, no, you guys don't get the monopoly on
Yeah.
God. God
Yeah.
is an independent contractor, and no one gets the exclusive with God.
I love it.
Right?
love it. Yeah.
Seems obvious to me, but
Yeah, I know. I have a really, really good friend who's an evangelical Christian, and we just find what we have in common, and I'm sure that we have in common with something with everybody, you know?
Right,
It's
right.
beautiful. Yeah. Yeah.
but you asked, you wanted to know who
No,
did
no,
what,
no, it
and
was
that
beautiful.
was
Thank
it.
you. Thank you so much. Yeah, no, I was not surprised, honestly.
Yeah.
I was surprised about the atheists not
Yeah.
liking the invisible string because I forgot the word heaven was in
Yeah,
there.
heaven.
Yeah. Yeah. I love doing atheist funerals. It's so much fun.
Is it?
It's so much fun.
Why?
Because we have to find a common language, and I like finding the way. And the other thing too is that it just reminds me that we're all trying to express something and using different vocabulary. So
That's
if I
it.
do an atheist funeral, I can talk about impermanence, but I also will often throw in that the reason that we experience impermanence is because it's against the backdrop of something changeless.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
So.
We find
And
our
people
way
can hear
in.
that. I love finding common ground, I guess. That's one of my passions.
Well, and you know what I
Yeah.
always say to atheists too? I don't know, hopefully this is appropriate here, but in the moment of greatest pleasure physically,
Yes.
people don't yell out, "Oh, wow!" It's, "Oh, God." and
Yes.
other side of that, in moments of great agony, people aren't going, "Oh, what a bummer." It's, "Help,
Right.
please."
Right.
They reach out. So I believe, innately, we do believe in God, whether we call it God
Different
or
names,
not.
yeah.
But we do. We innately will call out to a power greater than ourselves in times of great need or times of great pleasure.
But yeah. Okay. So you know who you're working with here. They know who they're working with. Back to that moment of great pleasure.
Yeah.
Why don't we all start screaming out, "Oh, great! What did you call it? Great abyss of nothingness."
Yeah, that's not going to be that.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, but I've gotten a few atheists when I say that. I say, "What do you call out in your happy moment?" And they said, "Oh, come to think of it."
When Harry met Sally, right? Famous scene. Yeah.
That scene is the best scene
It is
ever.
a really good scene, yeah. Well, listen, we've gone a little over. You've been so
Oh,
compelling.
okay,
We've gone a
all
little
right.
over. But just what is the most important thing that you want us to know today?
It's going to sound so cliche, and I hate cliches. I like when people give them, I'm just like, ugh, get creative.
Should we do a pre-vomit?
Yeah.
Okay.
But really, I mean this with every part of my being. We are loved. You are loved beyond anything you could possibly fathom. You could read and you could write and you could study and you could go to church. The most incredible bliss you could ever know, and even that is a tiny fraction of the love that our Creator feels for us, His children. And and you're not alone. You're never alone. And sometimes this does feel debatable. Sometimes it's very debatable. Sometimes I feel very alone, and then I just, that's right. Read your own books, Patrice.
Right.
That's right. You're not alone. And we're moving. Listen, I want to say one last thing, and
Yeah.
I know we're going.
Yeah,
I
that's
promise.
okay. Go ahead.
Look, left, right, up, down. We are in a moment.
Yes,
we are.
yeah.
We are in a moment on this planet right
Yeah.
now that it's like popcorn should just be planted by the couch as
Yeah.
we're just
Yeah.
watching the news cycle and everything going on. But the exciting thing is, what better time really for God Made Easy,
Right,
I
exactly.
think that there was a reason for 25 years why he couldn't get it published, because now's the time, and this is it. This is what we were born for, was to incarnate during this exact time.
This exact
so
time,
we're
right.
here for it.
Yeah, to
And
get-
I say let it rain, because
Yeah.
even though it may look really dark, that's what had to happen for heaven coming to earth.
Right.
again. Yeah.
Right. For the greater good for all beings.
For the greater good. And I
Yeah.
think it's coming.
I do too. I do too.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Amen.
Patrice.
Praise
Patrice
the
has
Lord.
written. All right. Yeah. That's sweet. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Stay there. One sec.
Thank you.
Now, wait. Sit,
Oh, wait.
sit one more time. Yeah.
Those
Thank
are
you.
questions.
Thank you.
Oh. Thank you, guys.
That you ended on a note that made everybody clap. I wasn't quite done yet.
Oh, you weren't done yet? Oh,
no, I just
sorry.
wanted to. I
I'm
just
still
wanted
here.
to,
Okay.
to praise you again. That what's your name, Patrice? Patrice has written many books. Those are some of the titles up there, and we'll keep them up for a few minutes. But we have The Invisible String and God Made It Easy in our bookstore. You're welcome to go back there after the service and get a book, and then Patrice will sign them.
And I brought my special gold pen.
Oh,
to sign with.
good, yeah. And before Patrice resumes her seat in the house and I do the final prayer, let us do the blessing for Patrice, okay? Which you repeat after me. Patrice, we love you. We bless you. We believe in you. You are the face of God. And so it is. Good. Now we clap.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you, honey.
Thank you.
All right.